Good afternoon, second grade. I hope you were able to enjoy this beautiful weather we had outside today. And I wanted to say that so many of you are doing an awesome job submitting to Seesaw. And I've been getting to see all the activities you've been creating and completing. So proud of you. You're navigating through that successfully. And it just keeps swimming, everybody. We'll get there. I'm so proud to know that you're giving an effort, and that's all that counts. And we can do this. So we are now on chapter 8. I'm going to read tonight chapter 8 and 9 of our awesome story, Stink and the World's Worst Super-Stinky Sneakers. So now we've moved on to chapter 8, the Golden Clothespin Award, and we'll see if Stink is the judge, one of the judges, and what goes on from there. The Golden Clothespin Award. In the middle of the park stood a big red and white striped circus tent with a banner that said, "Welcome to the ATWWSSSC," so those are acronyms, for All-Time World's Worst Super-Stinky Sneaker Contest. Enter at your own risk. "Dad and I will wander around and meet you kids back here later," said Mom. Stink opened the flaps and stepped through the tent door. Phew! A great wall of smell almost knocked him over. It was like standing smack dab in the middle of a cloud, a giant, invisible, cumulonimbus stink cloud. Worse than 30 dead elephants, worse than 60 corpse flowers, worse than 99 bottles of toilet water. Lined up on tables all around the tent were dozens of putrid sneakers. Each pair had a number so nobody would know who owned which sneakers. Stink took his smelly shoes out of the bag and set them on the table. "You'll be number 27, said a lady behind the table. "Stink," said Judy. "You can't enter your own shoes in the contest." "Why not?" Stink asked. "Don't you get it? You're a judge now. Judges can't win the contest. That's like voting for yourself for president." "So, Stink, would you think it was fair if I were a judge and I picked my own sneakers to win?" "Not really," said Stink. "See, picking your own sneakers makes you a cheaterhead." "A cheesehead?" said Stink. "No, a big fat cheaterhead," said Judy. Just then, Mrs. D motioned for Stink to come over to the important table up front where the judges sat. Red and blue ribbons were set out on a fancy tablecloth alongside the shiny golden clothespin trophy. "What's with that fancy clothespin?" whispered Judy. "That's an award," said Stink, pinching his nose shut, like with a clothespin, and making a PU face. "Here's your new judge," Mrs. D told the other two judges. "Meet James Moody. Believe it or not, he goes by the name Stink." The other two judges laughed. "Well, your name alone qualifies you to be a judge," said the woman from Odor Munchers. "Thanks, Stink. You really saved the day." "Glad to meet you. I'm Mr. Moore. Call me Steve," said the other judge. "You sure all are tall," said Stink, shaking his hand. Stink said Mrs. D. "This is the man I wanted you to meet. Mr. Moore, Steve, is a professional smeller." "That's me," said Steve. "You mean that's your job? You smell stuff?" asked Stink. "That's my job. I worked for NASA, and they call me the Master Sniffer." There's the Clothespin Award. "They call me the Nose," said Stink excitedly. "I want to be a professional smeller when I grow up, but my sister said..." "What kind of stuff do you smell?" Judy asked Steve. "Anything that goes up into space. I'm your man. If it's too smelly, we can't have it aboard the space shuttle. Up there, you can't just open a window. You'd be surprised at the number of things that don't pass the smell test." "Really? Like what?" asked Stink. "Like film for a camera, felt tip markers, a stuffed teddy bear." Bad news, Stink, said Judy. You can't go up into space now. They won't let you take your teddy bear. Hardy har har, said Stink. Steve the Smeller laughed a very deep laugh. What do you have to do to be a professional smeller? Stink asked. Do you have to be tall? Because I'm short. No, but you can't have allergies, said Steve. You have to be good at detecting odors, like, say, a new car smell, and if you have to be willing to sniff bad smells, like even a dirty diaper. Stink nodded like a bobblehead doll on a dashboard. I sniffed a whole stinky museum, Stink told him. And of course you have to pass a test every few months. I have to take the 10-bottle test. I made 10 bottles of my own stinky toilet water, said Stink. Just ask my sister. I sniff scents in a bottle and I have to guess if it is popcorn or wet paint smell, said Steve. Then I rate it on a sniff scale from 0 to 4. Anything over 2.4 on the sniff scale fails the test. Kind of like what we're going to do today. And I passed my sister's way official Moody Stinkathon, Stink told him. Good for you, said Steve. Sounds like you're already on your way to becoming a master sniffer. Someday I really want to smell a corpse flower. Oh, those corpse flowers sure are humdingers, said Steve. I flew all the way to England once just to smell one at the Royal Botanic Gardens. Whoa, no way! Stink wanted to hear more, but it was time for the contest to begin. Stink rushed over to Smelly Sneakers number 27. He hated to admit that Judy was right, but entering his own sneakers was not fair. He, Stink Moody, did not want to be the unproud winner of the all-time World's Worst Super-Stinky Cheater contest. Here's the sniff scale. Stink gave the number back to the lady. I'm not in the contest anymore, he told her. I am a judge now. No way did Stink want to cheat. He was an official junior sniffer now. A junior sniffer could not be a big fat cheesy cheesehead cheater head. Stink's Stinky Facts. Captain Diapers. Believe it or not, astronauts wear diapers on spacewalks. Real-life master sniffers have to sniff clean diapers before they go up into space. Sniff, sniff. Weird stuff they sniffed. Weird stuff they sniffed. Paint, shaving cream, unyucky sneakers, a guitar, Barney, the stuffed dinosaur, Sally Ride's makeup, and it did not pass the test. And that's the end of Chapter 8. And now we're moving on to Chapter 9. World's Worst Super-Stinky Cheater Contest. Oh boy, I wonder where we're going with this. Let the sniffing begin, said the head judge lady. She handed Stink a clipboard. He took the sniffing very seriously. He walked up and down the rows and rows of torn sneakers. Worn sneakers, yucky blucky sneakers. He walked in front of the sneakers and behind the sneakers. Here a sniff, there a sniff, everywhere a sniff sniff. Stink rated each pair on a smelly scale of 0 to 4. He wrote down notes like smells like swamp and worse than a dead skunk and triple PU. All the while, he couldn't help wondering which pair was Sophie's. Hey, I'll give you a tip, Steve the Smeller handed Stink a tissue. Take a whiff of a pair of sneakers, then hold the tissue up to your nose in between the sniffs. That way your sense of smell won't get tired or confused. Thanks, said Sniff. Wowee! A professional tip from a professor smells a lot himself. Stink puffed up with pride. He sniffed the next pair. What did you smell? Steve asked. Feet, said Stink. He did the tissue trick, then smelled the sneakers again. What else? Asked Steve. Dirt, old carpet smell, maybe even moldy cheese. Good for you, said Steve. Moldy cheese? That's exactly what I thought. Stink sniffed some more sneakers. He couldn't help thinking that his were still the smelliest. He couldn't help thinking that he could have won the Golden Clothespin Award until he came to the smelly sneaker pair number 13, that is. Stink leaned over and took another whiff. Phew! His eyes crossed, his nose wrinkled, his tongue curled. Number 13 smelled worse than a barn full of bats, worse than a basement full of rats. Number 13 smelled stinkier than litter boxes of 1,000 cats. He sniffed number 13. He sniffed the clean tissue from Steve, the smeller. Then he sniffed pair number 13 again. All the toilet water in the world could not have made his shoes as smelly as these sneakers. Stink E. Moody, judge and junior sniffer, had found a real winner. A way official want to barf, gag me with a spoon winner. Geez Louise, said the lady judge when that came to number 13. Jump back, Jack. I think I'm going to pass out. This one's a Humpty of a Dumpty, Professor Smeller agreed. Rotten eggs, said the lady judge. Burnt hairs, said Steve. Cat pee, said Stink, and dead worms. He's got the nose all right, said the professor. Not many noses would pick up on that dead worm smell. Worse than rancid roadkill, said the lady. Worse than C4H9SEH. That's on the periodic table of elements, said Steve. What's that? Asked Stink. Skunk spray, Steve told him. Stink cracked up. Stink knew for sure now these sneakers would be outlawed in outer space. These skunks were a number 10 on a scale of 0 to 4. All the king's horses and all the bad smells could not outsmell numero uno all-time world's stinkiest sneakers, putrid pair number 13. There's number 13. Stink wrote down his final score. He turned in his clipboard. All the votes were counted. At last it was time to announce the grand prize winner of the all-time World's Worst Super-Stinky Sneaker Contest. Professor Steve stepped up to the microphone. Attention! May I have your attention, please? Everybody gathered around. All ears were listening. Not even a dog barked. We are pleased to announce the winners of the 10th annual all-time World's Worst Super-Stinky Sneaker Contest. It was a close call. All sneakers in the contest were truly worthy, truly smelly. We have two runners-up, number 6 and number 37. Please step up to the podium. Number 6, he said, holding out a red ribbon. These puppies smell worse than dog breath. Congratulations. Now get them out of here. Number 37, said Steve, handing over another red ribbon. Your sneakers made a pile of garbage smell sweet. Congratulations. Everybody clapped and cheered. Stink could hardly wait to hear whose sneakers would take the grand prize of the Golden Clothespin Award. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. There's one pair of sneakers that all three judges have a top score of 4+++. The grand prize winner of the Golden Clothespin Award is number 13. Who has number 13? Please come up front to the judges' podium and claim your prizes. 13? Did he just say 13? That's me, yelled Sophie of the Elves. She rushed up to the podium. I can't believe it. I really won, she asked. Stink, how'd you know it was me? I didn't, said Stink. Honest, I never smelled those sneakers before in my life. They won fair and square, said Steve. We smelled everything from dead worms to skunk spray on those sneakers. Way to go, Sophie, said Webster. Step right up here, young lady, said Professor Smeller. For having the world's all-time smelliest sneakers, I award you this trophy of the Golden Clothespin 1 gift certificate for a new pair of sweet-smelling sneakers award. And last but not least, 1 free trip for 2 to the Odor Munchers Air Freshener Factory. Thank you, said Sophie, holding up her trophy. Tons of people were clapping and yelling. Woohoo! A guy from the newspaper was even snapping pictures. Tell us, said Steve the Smeller, what's your secret, Sophie? What makes your sneakers so smelly? Simple, said Sophie. No socks. And when my parents make me take a bath, I hang my feet over the edge of the tub and I don't wash them. Ever. P.U., said Professor Smeller. Congratulations, young lady. Your shoes will be entered in the Hall of Fame at the community center where hopefully they can be seen, but not smelled by all. Can I have your autograph? Sophie asked. Sure, said Steve. Me too, said Stink. Can you sign my shoe? Professor Steve smells a lot, signed Stink's smelly sneaker. From one master sniffer to another, Steve wrote, I'll never ever wash these shoes now, said Stink. Stink's Stinky Facts, Sneaker Fest. There's a National Rotten Sneaker Contest held every year in Vermont, in the United States. One year, the winner had a sneaker that caused one judge to gag, one to back away, and one to nearly pass out. Good thing the prize included a new pair of sneakers. And that's the end of Chapter 9. Have a good night, boys and girls. Chapter 10 and the final chapter tomorrow.